Oh my god, I'm live. So I'm eating a pea. This is like the best meal. That's why I'm making a show. These are pea microgreens from a company that's on. I'll go get the package, but it's from a company that's across the river in Long Beach. And then it's Toby's tofu spread, but it's jalapeno, just like they used to make in the '90s at my old health food store that I worked at, Sunshine Grocery in Nashville, Tennessee. They got bought by Wild Oats that were like totally corporate and repressive. They're actually kind of hard to chew, so I'm gonna do it anyway because it's good. So I'm reeling over this. Okay, so I've got 4,000 on a credit card for my damn teeth rehab. If anybody wants to go down to Pearl Dentistry in the Pearl District of Portland, um, buy me some implant. I don't know. I'm like in love with Eli at this dentist. He's so cute. Somebody accused me of having an affair with my dentist because, like, why am I like going to my dentist so much? It's just saving like what's left of my teeth. I should have dentures by now. Oh my gosh, I think I need to say everything that I'm not allowed to say that I've been self-censoring, which is, oh my god, Ozark or Rat hired a really unimpressive lawyer to harass me. And then I was like, wait a minute, this lawyer's doing you freebies like my lawyer friends do for me. This makes no sense. This guy's not helping you. This guy's making you look lame. Joshua Stellman. With a name like that, it could be some Idaho cool cat. He should wear a cowboy hat when he does law. Like our district attorney wears a bolo tie. As if that helps. It probably helps him. My grandpa wore one. Okay. So I want to give away everything I own to a thrift store like tonight because the clutter is driving me crazy. So I was going to do one more round, and then I was like, well, if I left everything outside the thrift store, hopefully the homeless would get to it and find something they need, except it's just that much further to take down the road. Then I'm should be mad at Wells Fargo, but like, how long can one be mad at Wells Fargo? Because they like trim down my. Basically, I'm almost really poor. So I've got to be digging a bunch of cans because I'm determined to pay off this. And actually, I put something like $850 of the dentistry stuff on my Wells Fargo card and another 1,000 on the Discover card. So really, I'm still like hovering around 6 or something. I've definitely paid off 1,000 of it. It's harder to track with the other balances because I just pay too many things on those accounts. So I'm still a vegan. I'm wondering about Ryan Shapiro. So beautiful. I'm not into brunettes, but I'm into Ryan Shapiro. And Corey Quinn, this weird kind of like feminine dweeb who put his hand like this. You know, these like really, I'm just a soft little hippie that's gonna put my hand around your neck. And so he was like sort of chasing me through the park on Saturday. It was so traumatic. It was like, do you want to get a stalking order? I was like, you're trying to get some recent like infractions on your record? Because he ran away. He's like I don't know. He chased Vanessa and her husband, down to California. So he like got all confrontational and was like, he was all empowered by technology and stuff. It was like Occupy. And he's all like, this is the girl that is falsely accusing me and Ozark of things on the internet. And I was like, oh wow, you're bromancing on Ozark because he fills your belly? As long as you cover up his misdeeds that you used to be outraged about. And it's like they're just lumping it into their bromance. You know, like, bromance forever. And Ozark never laid a finger on me. Like, peace, dude. These other creeps on the hand. Okay, so let's list them out. Monkey with his big black dildo in the park. Monkey is a little methed out 112 pound, 120 pound dweeb who was like about to beat down you know who one summer ago. So I always have that on Monkey is like, you were a hothead little gutter punk meth junkie about to slam down. And I pretty much saved him from going to jail by like breaking up the fight twice, 3 times, but that was a different fight. So anyway, he's all like taken on to a hating on me because Ozark's like really deep about the whole defamation campaign. He's like really into burning the witch, like Scotland. I'm the witch, and because Ozark says blue balls, which is a pretty gross thing to say to a bunch of traumatized homeless people, maybe he's trying to lighten the mood, give himself the benefit of the doubt. I was like, well, maybe you don't have good English because you know you're like from an immigrant family. I've had immigrant friends come and say a bunch of trash talk to me because that's like the first English they learn, and you're just like, forget about it, move on, and like do better. So like, you don't have to turn it into World War III on me, right? But anyway, so Monkey and his big black dildo, right, coming at me at the park. So he got the job at the downtown market. This is going to take forever. This is going to be like a really long live stream. It's actually slowing me down from it. Hopefully I don't choke to death. But I love his girlfriend. She's the best person there. The lady at the domestic violence charity is just like, why do you want to hang out with the homeless, basically? Just like get a job or like get a life or like you're so much better than that. And I'm like, yeah, but like you can have a calling, right? So Monkey with just a Y, not an EY, is like harassing on his real name is Robert something, but something Velda. I have a cute film of him on my YouTube, but he's harassing on Obi Babs because Obi Babs was punched in the face by Nicholas. And Nicholas is best friends with a guy named Sam and his girlfriend something I saw on Facebook today, who's just like, me and Sam and Quentin love Matt, and Matt punched the tooth out of Sierra. Matt charged at me. I don't know if I've even written that down. And we were like, cross your fingers on the meth, dude. Like, hope you chill out, dude. He crossed the road screaming at me, red-faced, in like a maniacal meth rage. Right before he punched Sierra's tooth out. So you can blame me for Sierra's tooth out because maybe I should have taken him seriously and like had the paramedics and all the cops on him. Oh, and the hottest guy in town, Steven, the very extremely black from Louisiana with gold teeth guy, got pushed down the staircase at Filling Empty Bellies. Come to find out yesterday from someone who's bragging on it, like it's just like the white pride achievement of the month. There's a bunch of stupid skinheads down there. And I'm the only one who's brave enough to point that out. And I might have talked to one today who was primarily involved in the incident and told me Officer Hansen really wanted him to prosecute Steven. Hey, Steven, where are you? Dude, should have got that guy's number. But he was too cute for me. And lucky for him, the sort of this is the guy who has like the neo-Nazi tattoo that he shows me, like credentials, like passport control. And he's otherwise, whatever, some scrawny little metal dude. He said he punched him twice. He said he was like falling down the staircase. He said his ribs got contusions, but that he was willing to tell the cops they were all skateboarding injuries. Because I don't call the cops. He said that repeatedly. And so whoever called the cops on the kerfluffle, which was, I would say Steven's, and then this little guy's outmatched by Steven for size. But the little guy's homie was like, oh yeah, he popped him hard. And then he was like, he was hanging out by the river. And me and Griffin were like, "You're gonna have to go. You can't." And I was like, "Oh, so you're like threatening him on the river?" And it was like, "Well, what did he do wrong?" "Oh, he's just walking around talking to himself." But Stephen has this like smart grin, and I think the men don't even quite understand what they hold against him. Besides, he's just gorgeous. Like he told me, his mama speaks some like kind of like French influenced Louisiana accent. Because my other friend from Beautiful Black Men from Louisiana is Dre. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I got my two Louisiana men. They're both beautiful. They're both very, very dark complected. And I was like, what's different of your accent, or who's Southern and who's Northern? So there is difference. Now I'm freaking pissed, as you can tell. And Ozark has been starving me since May 19th, but I quit going in March. So I quit going because I didn't want to run into the guy I just called the choker, who I ran into at the park and then almost ran into in the river, but I was like on a call and I was like standing off to the side and then he's walking by me and I'm like, oh, gross. And then I'm like so grossed out that he's hanging by a church or by a nursery school or by the public bathrooms or by a public park. And then should I put some papers on him? Anyone? I mean, I could write the paper. Part of it is I'm lazy. Part of it I want my life back. But I could write the paperwork up on him and let the judge decide. That's what should happen. We'll be back with more too. Okay, so all I wanted with my giant credit limit was like a new computer, right? Because I'm a computer addict. Look at this. This is the Toby's jalapeno spread. Very yummy. These are the beautiful microgreens from Long Beach, Washington. Field pea microgreens. Wow, I feel like this is so 2009. I used to sit around eating avocados on Bamboozer and like big salads, or take pictures of my salads. Oh, and Obi Babs, the guy who Corey Quinn is so like jealous. He's like, how do you compete with a boisterous 6'5" paraplegic in a wheelchair? This really got you going, right? Because he's like all brash personality, like lived in LA, a crazy family. So he's like, and this is her new boyfriend. I'm filming him for YouTube. Boo hoo. And she doesn't like it when I pull out my only cool move, which is and I'm just like, okay, you're crazy. I think Le Tigre had that song. Dude, you're so crazy. Yeah, I knew his choke move was an inadequacy move, so I, being a softie for all these inadequate males, feel sorry for him. I'm like, well, you are rather inadequate, aren't you? It was just like, it was like a swift descent of brain cells. Lower IQ points, like. So anyway, I got my research. I'm gonna call him my research assistant. Sent me my like 80-page government document documenting the massive fraud going on down there. Sorry, did I say that fraud? No, well, I found out who the board members were because Kirk Wintermute couldn't be bothered to treat me like a human being because he's a 41-year-old man baby who's slated to be a judge. And he's a total raging misogynist, has no sense of proportion and fairness, and I already had to threaten his bar license and his judicial appointment, which he had not yet stepped into. And I'm like, way to get a report about your judicial fitness before you've even assumed your robe. I will go there. How dare you treat me this way? Oh, he backed off, and like I saw him like on the street, and it was like he started to do his swagger, kind of like, that girl can't get my goat. The guy's huge, and he's not as cute as I hoped, okay? Let's just put it that way. Somebody pointed out that he's clearly a video game addict, and that might be why he's so out of touch with reality, which is exactly what you need with the judge, right? Oh, don't get me started on the Oregon Emergency Rental Assistance Program. The money is delayed. Anybody else having that problem? Oh boy, the landlords love it, don't they? So where were we? There's so many nice people in town, though. I gotta tell you. Like, for instance, I could have, well, aside from punching my friend, I would totally hang with this gravelly old guy called Garth. He's so funny. He has the, like, prettiest blonde mullet. And he sings the blues. And he's like, I'm 10% black, despite being blonde and blue-eyed. And, he was a sniper. He was in a bunch of foreign war type stuff before I was like out of grade school. So he's 60 or something. He's really pretty fit for a 60-year-old dude. Then I have this other wisecrack friend called Rand, who like tries to give me like on the down low, the whole neighborhood hates you. The downtown market thinks you're a snitch. And I'm like, I don't want Monica to lose her job. I want her to take over filling empty bellies and stop starving people. And Corey Buck is on the board of directors unless something's changed since March, whenever this data was compiled. And Jeff Carlson is, I'm thinking it's Aaron Carlson's dad is on the board. And Kirk Wintermute, who's obviously unfit, coming from how he came at me like in attack mode. And so I know Aaron will control her dad. Kirk is controlled by Ozark. Corey's just like, probably so nice. She's just like, well, I never would have kicked out anybody, but yeah, like whatever you want to do, I don't care. You're awesome. She's so positive, but I'm just going to be a critical thinker right now. And after I paid like such an ungodly $7,000, like $7,300, something like that, for my teeth, I was like, I can't keep going down there to Skid Row, hanging with all these people beating up on each other like a fight club. I took with the CBH lady, we need like wrestling mats and like rubber sidewalks and a referee and a ring if we're gonna have this brawl pit atmosphere. And so she laughed. Trisha, maybe. So I found out from a CBH chick, she's banned from filling empty bellies and Beacon Clubhouse too. And I was like, why? And she's like, and I was like, suggested speaking truth to power. And she's like, yeah. And then when I suggested Ozark's being over controlling about Erin's emails and like reading her emails and like, and she's like, I'm the other way around. And so it turns out she was friends with the nephew that Ozark was really mean to. That Ozark is like, well, if anybody's friends with a family member of mine that I hate, you're also kicked out of filling bellies. And if you're friends of her, or if you know, and so now Mr. Chocolat, he was already like, the fact that I'm trying to be your friend is going to mess with Ozark's head because he obviously hates you. Why does Ozark hate me? Suggestion. Does he hate me, or does he rather have a crush on me? Because I'm year of the snake, he's year of the dragon. Snake and dragon are like chill. But he doesn't know what to do about it. Because he's all like stuck in a baby marriage with, what's her name? Erin. Who's beautiful. Who's just like my doppelganger and probably more of a lesbian. I think she's a lesbian. I don't know. I get by vibes from her. But anyway. We're about to go through menopause here, guys. It's great. And what else? Anything else new? So pretty. The weather's just amazing. It feels like it's still summer. It's going to be really hot all weekend. My hair is getting so blonde from the sun. Oh yeah, so Babs called me fat today. I'm like, how can you be my new best friend and be so insulting at the same time? And yet it's still fine. He's well, he's finished and he has these like quite pretty eyes. He said no, and it's even worse. He knows how to make all his insults hurt. He's like, this is a Sagittarian trait. They're just like, actually, I'm so cool. I can insult everybody and still come back for more. But he was like, yeah, my mom and I were discussing how you're wheat intolerant. Well, you've got to stop eating wheat. Well, we were discussing how and I was like, what, fat? And he's like, yeah, fat. And as he's like looking me up and down, because like for a moment I've taken off my trench coat, but he's like trying to lay in his dietary consultation. He's like, you need to eat lots of meat. Like, no way. But he was a Chihuahua. And then, all right, and this is stupid to brag about, but there is the street cred you get when you're just like hanging with the disabled person. And I'm like, what are the likelihood I just went to bat for all the disabled people who are discriminated from filling empty bellies because they've chosen the staircase on which they're almost like assassinating the beautiful black man with their like creepy little neo-Nazis with a violence problem and meth problems and all this. Okay, so then I saw like Xavier and Chrissy, and I was like saying to myself, I was like, I'm gonna just turn her this way because I do not want to have to observe the spectacle of her semi-nudity as she wears her like little bikini top over her jeans and prances around after seeing what kind of amount of needles it takes to keep them going. They dumped their drug needles in someone's house, stole a laptop. Who knows what else they stole? I mean, basically, people are mostly hippies, just like help yourself, you know. It's like you get stoked to be generous, just like with helping Corey. I was like stoked to help him. Then they step over the line where they are now turning themselves into some kind of enemy, where they have resentment about how much you're helping them. I think that's what it is. So then they're lashing out. So whatever, yeah. You know, you still got some clean clothes. You still got a few nights out of the cold. You still got your life saved from hypothermia, or in this instance in the summertime, like whatever. I give my friend everything a peanut butter, just happened to randomly see him walking home from the grocery because I had two. I just go, would you like peanut butter? It was a good kind of Adams with like French, not crunchy, but creamy. And the cute little like yuppie hippie ladies going on the walk right after he snatched it up, they went like, kind of like just live action feeding the homeless. Very simple. Is very good. And the thing that hurts the most about the current incarnation of filling empty bellies is just the harsh attitudes. The harsh attitudes to the disabled, the harsh attitudes to women, the harsh attitudes towards the neighborhood community, towards all the businesses. The lady at the harbor was like, well, karma, and maybe they'll close down, and maybe we can just go back to feeding people in the park in a non-discriminatory way. It won't be perfect, but it would be a lot better than this pit is sort of like it's more like a mousetrap. Hi, Gemini. What's up? Did you just tune in? Do you want to see this? What I'm eating? So this is Beck's greens. It's like a microgreen, and these ones are the pea ones, and they're from Long Beach, Washington. They also have some like wasabi sprouts. They have a whole bunch of really good sprouts. And then this is my tofu dip. It's like jalapeno. No, I don't think about widgets. I don't know. I'll try not to get shy, but it's like kind of better when you're just all by yourself. So my new friend is Clarence, and he's the no, you won't believe this. Clarence is the black guy that got kicked out of the nonprofit. For why? Oh, because he like helps too many homeless people. He's like, stay on my couch. I'll hook you up. I'll give you rides. I'll get you to your job appointment. And it's like the nonprofit poverty pimps get like jealous that he's doing too much or that he knows too much, because he even helps like the family members. So it turns out, well, he knows all the dirt on the family member, that if anybody is related to the family member, then they also get kicked out of the nonprofit, because the nonprofit is more like a cult with like a supreme leader. Okay. No, I'm not looking at that. I'm better. No, I don't want to do an app store thing. Should I like own up to the bottle store revolution? So I was kind of almost weepy today at the co-op, and I was just like, "You were so nice to me on the phone," and I was like, "You treat like people treat canners like the scum, like so horribly," or like I was like, "The scum of the earth," he said, and he got it. He was like, and I think that's why he was nice on the phone. Was he was like, "Okay, you're recycling your little measly $4 of cans. You got this piddling amount of money. Now let's just pile on." And then I realized that the canner demographic, really, like they're the delete. They're the segment of society that even the oppressed blue collar workers get to hate on. So it's like a therapy. It's like you go to your horrible blue collar job working in a grocery store, no one to hate on because no one's really beneath you except the canners. So we like show up and you can. So I've got like my little hate committee down at the downtown market, where Ozark's atmosphere of horrible bad energy is just sort of like cross pollinating and monkeys harassing OB, and it's caused quite a scandal that I'm now friends with the guy in the wheelchair who was punched by the serial offender who punches all the vulnerable people but still gets to be embedded in the nonprofit cult, because he's sort of like a chipper little snarky otaku rich kid whose cousin runs the hate group that hates on the nonprofit. So the cousin is sort of verging into like, oh, okay, maybe I'll try not to be so hateful. And I think it's becoming known that Quentin, also known as Nicholas, Quentin Alexander's cousin is Nicole Maki. And maybe that's why Aaron Carlson and Ozark Iraq have to kiss up to him, even though he's brutally assaulted their client and a person who could be their client if they weren't so anti-wheelchair. So I could have gone to a city council meeting tonight, but I didn't. I felt horrible. But basically, they need to have more attention raised regarding their lack of accessibility for wheelchairs. And how charming is it that I get to have like my new best friend's in a wheelchair, or new apparent best friend. I was going to delete his number tonight, actually. So one of the people that's being starved by filling empty bellies, it was just like, well, how long have you been starved? Like, how can you function when you're not getting at least one decent meal in you? She's like, when Ozark was running with us, he was worse than any of us. When he was on the streets, homeless and on drugs. So I mailed away to Gresham police to get the Pomeranian theft. So this is hilarious. The main poverty pimp of Astoria, Oregon, has had like recent meth arrests and like felony firearm assault type stuff. I don't know. What did he have? No, he had felony, burglary, possession. Hey, I don't think I should talk. I'm doing a live stream. Either that or I should get off the live stream. I know it sounds lame. I don't have much to say. I'm just talking to myself, really. While I eat greens. You've been on one before. You want to be on it? Here, let me put you on speaker. Okay, you can choose to hang up whenever. So you can commandeer my live stream while I eat. No. I'm just griping about the world. I'm calling it filling my own damn belly because I'm so irritated that the homeless nonprofit is getting all this money and then not feeding the needy people of the community and being hateful and rude to the homeless. And
well, they're supposed to give the money away. That's what people are expecting them to do.
They're paying off a mortgage and driving a Lexus and acting like ritzy and bragging about their house, and they also are really unfair. Like they give some people really good stuff and then other people they treat terribly. They don't even see it, or I don't know if they do or don't. It's kind of hard to gauge. Sometimes people surprise me. Like, are they stupid, or are they mean, or are they evil, or a little bit of everything?
I think they're stupid.
Yeah.
And selfish at the same time. I still think it's very unfair that really stupid people have lots of money.
Well, you know how some people sabotage their money because they're so greedy that they ruin their own businesses with greed. I think that's what's happening here. Because they're so greedy that their business will go under if they don't start being ethical. I don't think they can impress anybody now. Most everybody's saying he needs to resign. Like, I know multiple people who think they need to be closed or resigned. Because it's like there's no hope unless there was someone new in charge.
Younger. Maybe.
Nicer.
Yeah, nicer.
Mm-hmm.
I think people with the right amount of intelligence, class, what's the word? Culture and kindness and sensitivity.
Mm-hmm.
These are very rare people. People just don't like using their brains. They have these beautiful things and you don't want to use them. It's very strange to me that people think mass shooting animals it's just some casual thing they do, and they're not thinking there's anything wrong with it at all.
Yeah.
Like these animals are objects and not beings. These people were bragging the other day about dove hunting and how many they got. And they bait them. So it's cheating. It's mean. Why would you eat tiny birds?
Ew.
It's just tiny. It's just mean. It's what it is. It's one of the very few reasons anyone should be a vegan. They should care about animals. And if you're worried about weight issues, go vegan. And you'll lose weight.
I was no. I don't know. I'm going to get myself into hot water because my plan was to only talk about controversial things that I might be self-censoring on. So I'm talking about a horrible fight that happened within the last 2 weeks at Filling Empty Bellies. Somebody was like pushed down the staircase that's really unsafe and beaten up and like punched so bad they're saying he's leaving town. And
oh God, people are scary.
Yeah. And
men are scary.
Yeah. And because like Ozark, honestly, I was thinking if I had been there, because Ozark doesn't want me there, right? I would have broken up the fight. and I make cowards out of men because they like are like, whoa, I can't believe you'll break up our fight, and I'm sort of irritated that I wasn't there to protect my friend or de-escalate the
I'm
other guy.
tiny. I could never do that. I'd be afraid they'd hurt me.
You'd be surprised though. It's I don't know what it is. My mom does it. It's like a leverage thing. It's like leveraging gender.
Oh,
Because
they don't expect it.
yes, they don't expect it, and most men had it drilled into them by their mothers never to hit a woman. So they'll always punch each other, but hitting a woman is considered the most lowest of the low type of thing to do. Oh yeah,
good.
so
that's
I wanted to,
one of the only things women do that's good when it comes to their sons. They never teach them how to make a bed correctly. They never teach them how to cook for themselves or clean up after themselves. They never teach them anything useful. But that's like the only good thing.
okay. So Kate, this other thing I thought I should put on this broadcast because it's just pissing me off already, and I'm ready to blow the whistle. Is I've got a rumor. Do you remember the author called Ken Casey? He wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. He was like some hippie counterculture.
Oh yes, and they made a movie.
Well, guess what? I heard that he was a pedophile.
Oh well, that's disgusting.
I know, and it's like I'm so sick of these people being like put on thrones. You know, like oh he's this super genius who affected a generation.
Well, that happened before, and that's why they got away with it. Mm-hmm. Because no one knew they were doing it because they were so famous and beloved by people and
There's
wealthy.
A whole bunch of them.
So they could scare people.
Oh my god, there was a really bad one. It's like a French guy. One of the French philosopher dudes. I'm trying to think. Oh, it was Foucault. It was a really famous philosophy guy. I studied some of him. No, and they would get away with it and then write about it in their letters or their diaries, and then
really?
Long after they
weird. How would you write it down? That's just stupid.
Yeah, no, that's a boring subject, but it's so disgusting. I've been in a bad mood about it.
Well, men are sort of disturbed anyway, sexually. I think a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they just keep it quiet inside their head, but I think they're...
You want to talk a really disgusting subject on the internet? Probably no one's listening. Probably Eli was the only one listening, but he really went away because it was boring. Talk about small penises and violence. What's up with small penis guys who get really violent? They're really mentally...
They're self-conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And they put too much importance in stuff like that. Although it's just because it looks odd and unnatural. Because people naturally want you to be even and symmetrical.
I think they might need therapists or something. Like they need preemptive therapy to prevent like attacking people because they're so insecure.
Oh, no, you think that violence, well, it's supposed to be connected to high level of testosterone. And that's why we don't torture our prisoners anymore. You know, put their heads in spiked cages or draw and quarter them or whatever. We don't do that anymore because the testosterone levels in men have gone down over the course of history.
Oh, wow.
But it really is testosterone that makes violence happen. Like, makes men all violent and gross.
Is that why they try to mix weird violence with sex? They're like,
yes.
they're getting cycles of a neurochemical rush from their hormonal rush that's making them, they're horrible.
Yeah, they're really animal. I mean, more close to animal than we are, I think.
There's a saxophone guy who just like late night saxophone serenades, and he wanders through the neighborhood getting on people's nerves, but I love him. He's so cute. He's like a little redheaded hippie guy.
He's like the people that play fiddle in Europe.
Uh-huh.
Except they're really good. The only saxophone thing I ever heard that I really liked is in Dead Poets Society. The solo that he does in the cave. to wonder.
Almost like having dinner with somebody, but you're just like, you should try it. Just film. If you have your camera still works on your laptop, film a YouTube going live, and then try eating a meal with the public. Even if no one's there, it's almost like having a family.
It's weird.
It's
I
pathetic.
don't know. Total strangers. It seems strange. Although I post art and talk and stuff otherwise online, and I'm sure tons of people are, well, whoever it is, are watching and looking. So, I mean, I kept thinking I'd post my nude drawings online, but I'm sort of scared to do that. I might get in trouble. So.
Oh, because of the people that were the models, like suing you?
No, just somebody might get offended. You know, have you ever had the thing when you're on? Well, this happens on Pinterest. If you post things, this little warning will come up and say, "This is too sexy." Have you ever heard that? That comes up sometimes. I was posting things, and they was like, "Oh, this is too sexy."
They have standards and guidelines. Yeah.
I was like, how? What? Why are you trying to make me something you want me to be, or stay out of my business? It's a guy without a shirt on. Big deal.
I'm in a better mood now. I think it's because I ate my delicious salad. But
I get hangry if I don't eat. It's really awful.
I was like on an all day too busy to eat grumpy mood today. And I love being too busy to eat, but then I've just been running around in circles a lot. I ran out to a far side of town to bring a beautiful homeless woman a couple pairs of pants, like the leggings and a pants and a hoodie. And I took her.
Well, it's becoming fall, and they need warm stuff like socks, underwear, and
she's like
hoodies and things.
She's super tiny, like 5 foot or something, and super tiny, like. One of the shirts I brought her, she just looked at me like it was like big enough to go swimming in it. And I was like, I really truly don't understand how tiny she is because I'm way bigger than she is.
Well, my brother tried, because boys are stupid, you know, but he gave me some old sweater one time that he didn't want anymore. And it was so huge. It was a man's sweater and it wasn't even nice. And I was like, okay, I took it, but I was thinking, you're a moron. Because he's huge and I'm this tiny little thing.
So yeah. I guess it was good. I got a nice walk. I mean, it's been so beautiful. It's just lovely to walk. But my phone has been ringing off the hook, which is actually kind of driving me crazy between text messages. And I got a new phone, improving my battery situation, but it's harder to text message, and it's just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's got like a funky design problem that I think they're trying to be helpful, but it's mostly not helpful. And I did think about, I wanted to respond to something someone was telling me and then be like, oh, I'd like to fill it out more. Or it's like I actually need to have a phone conversation to understand more.
Well, I wish I had Facebook, but somebody sabotaged it, and then it disappeared completely. And then I tried to start another one, but I can't figure out how to make it actually be something. So I'm like, okay, fuck it all.
Yeah, Facebook is horrible. I kind of want a Facebook just so I can like.
Well, I don't do Twitter because it's like for 12 to 14-year-olds who have the attention span of a chicken. So it's like really fast sentences, and I can't go that fast. So I really have to like think about what I'm saying, and I'm always way too long-winded, and people would be like, get off.
You know, yeah. What you would like about Twitter, though, is probably GIFs and short movies, because like, say, for instance, some of my favorite Twitter accounts right now are like archival movie footage of like tap dancing or something. And then just watch a very short format, tiny. It's like watching an old movie, but just like a 1-minute version of an old movie.
Yeah, like Pinterest has little GIFs. but they're like quarter of a second. Little tiny.
Your Pinterest is very pretty. I saved it on somewhere, like a bookmark. And I looked at it, and I'm like, it completely reflects that you worked on it a lot.
Yeah, and I love beautiful things, people, and art, and so it's on there.
So I basically am having to come to the reconciliation that my feet are still growing.
They're still growing?
I think this is like a premenopausal thing because I read that foot pain maybe is different than the fact that they spread or something. And like my mom had some really ugly feet, and so did her sister. And maybe it's just our horrible Finnish genetics. My mom was like, they're snowshoes. They're for Finland. They're Finnish snowshoes. They're not even feet. They're like more like duck feet or something. But like
my uncle has feet like this.
It's horrible. And like I've been hovering at 9.5 men's, not women's.
Wow.
9.5 men's for like.
But you're not tall, so that's weird.
I know, right?
Yeah, and some tall dude at a shoe shop once years ago.
It cracks me up when I see a
like,
tall chick with small feet. I'm like, no way.
What?
Tall chicks with small feet. It like makes me laugh.
That's weird. But I was at the shoe place, and this dude came to help, and he was like, "Wow, you have really small feet." But this guy was huge, as like a black dude that was like could have been a basketball player. So his feet were probably the size of a barge.
I have to say, I'm kind of turned off by small feet in men. Like a really cute guy, if I look down and see really small feet, I'm like, ew.
Yeah, it looked like Michelangelo's David.
Or like smaller feet than me. That's not. I know. I don't know why. That was just the one guy Bobby hit on in the ER. The really hot doctor. He completely propositioned the doctor, and I was like, "That's sexual harassment." I just met him the day before.
My mother's always like flirting with doctors. She has like a thing for doctors because she wanted to be one. So she's always like all wimpified and flirty with them, and I'm like, oh, it's so embarrassing.
Oh no, that's embarrassing. Yeah, you could blow the whistle on your mother all night long on my live stream. She'll never find it.
But it's just like, maybe it's because she's the way she is, but also because she's older. It's like walking in on your parents having sex. You go, ew, no.
Gross. Seriously gross. Oh.
Yeah, and that thing she does where she's trying to set me up with people all the time, and I'm like, just stop doing that.
My mom had some guy at her Latin church that only like 10 people go to. He was like the one bachelor from Australia wearing a suit. And I'm just like, okay, for some reason, I think I drove her or something. So I'm just sitting in this side room, like a library, reading my book. And he comes to like, hey, I'm here to chat you up. I'm like Mr. Aussie guy. And I was just like, well, you have a nice Australian accent. And I have a lot of Australian friends back in California. But like, it was clear there was like no chemistry of any kind.
No.
Other than general goodwill for Australians. Like,
yeah, sometimes you're like coming on too strong sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I think the whole like I'm not in your religious viewpoint. So here's my other victory. This is hard to explain, but okay. So in the nonprofit, there's Clubhouse, and then there's basically feeding the homeless, and there's kissing up to people with mental health disorders or supposedly mental health problems. And the mental health component is by referral basis, and it's called Clubhouse, and it's supposed to be like a community center, basically. But the Clubhouse International is their national certifier. And so I had called them to be like, hey, is this normal to be having like all this brutality and assaults and disability discrimination? Because it seems something's off here in Astoria. Thinking they would give me some guidance. And of course, it just like caused them to retaliate more locally because they're completely pissed. I called the East Coast people. So the East Coast people blocked me on Twitter, I found out like 3 days ago, because they don't like me tagging it every time there's a new assault at the facility because they want to keep their reputation clean. So
well, that's why certain businesses that involve animals, mm-hmm. if something is on TV where the people can see it, and it's national, and something happens, they cut away with the camera really fast because they don't want PETA coming around pointing a finger at them.
Those were like my heroes, the people with the secret cameras and their glasses filming. But I would never want to work in a slaughterhouse. There was this one crazy vegan guy I knew. He got a job torturing primates and then filmed it so we could put it on YouTube so he can fight the system and sue OHSU and all of this. He's super famous, but like, I'm not going to do the dirty work for the animal torturers, not for like an expose moment. That's kind of morally beyond my cup of tea. Like,
no, beyond like the whole moral thing, no.
If anything, I was already doing that for Ozark, basically sitting there while he picks on the homeless and starves them as I'm like watching him try to run a facility with no disability access in 2022. The Americans with Disability Act is like an old law, and it pertains to everything. It pertains to PTSD, dyslexia, wheelchairs, any kind of like what do you call them, like crutches or mobility devices?
Physical mobility disability.
Yeah, and they're
or like mental brain stuff, like autism and whatever.
This guy I was trying to gain like, what is wrong with people around here? Why is everything so backward? And I trust this guy's opinion, which is rare, but he was just like, I think for some people, it's just the wild, wild west out here. Like, they don't recognize any law, any federal law. They don't understand concepts. Like, to them, it's like, oh, we'll just say on.
And people, stupid, Facebook. Average people, the people in the middle that everybody's trying to cater to, the really stupid in the middle, they live in a teeny bubble, and they don't care about what goes on in the world. They just care about themselves and making money. They don't care about who they hurt. Like this woman in this book I'm reading says the problem, and I think it's both the Bible and what she was saying. She was saying the English language teaches us to think of ourselves as a who, and everyone else as an it. So every animal and plant is an it, not a who. But they're all sentient, and they're all animate.
Wow.
These plants are animate. They're not inanimate. But like, because of this, then English teaches you to think it's an it, and it's there's a word for that. You should read The God Delusion. He talks about the children are raised to think that everything is for something like, and there's a word to describe this, and I can't remember the name of it, what the word is. But it's like when children say, oh, a rock is for scratching, a pencil is for writing, the spoon is for eating. It's to do something for you, always. And it has no purpose. It has no right for respect unless it's doing something for you. It's very self-absorbed, and we're raised to be that way from a very young age because of the English language.
No, yeah, that's interesting. The language is a propaganda. There was a philosophy class I had to take that was about a woman who talked about sexism in French and how French has so much sexism embedded in the language that it helps promote a worldview. It was brilliant. Her name is Luce Irigaray, but
and they're so complacent to it. Like, they don't think it's sexual. Like, it's not insulting. The women don't.
You know, when you can't stand, there's a stupid Oregon hillbilly phrase called "get her done."
Yes.
Do they do that?
I've heard that.
Ugh.
That's in a movie. That's a John Travolta line.
It's really like something.
It's in Carrie.
Oh, it's so horrible. They say it all the time around here, but it's usually like people that don't have any good English whatsoever.
Yeah, they're really redneck. Like, it's a redneck thing.
And they say it like it's the funniest thing they said. It's the punchline. But I think it's like a whole ethos. It literally means have a can-do attitude, but just it sounds disgusting.
It's really backward. It's like, what's that other one? Let me think of it. Oh, no, I can't remember. I'll think of it.
So
whenever I need to think of something, I can't.
So I think we're at the point where I either have to sue Ozark and Aaron Carlson, or do nothing and walk away, or just let them slip and slide of their own devices, make their own mistakes. But he's tried to send me the most threatening letter yet, but he wrote it, so it's not even like attorney jargon, but he did it as a PDF attachment, like, wow, I know how to attach a Word doc. But he goes like something like, do not email, text, or call Aaron Carlson, myself, or any employee, or I will like follow with legal action. And a part of me just is like, okay, I want to see your legal action. Let's go. What you gonna sue me for? Or are you gonna like try to get me put up in a jail cell for asking you not to?
You don't want a record.
No, of course not. Of course not. But it's to me, he's proving the point of how absurd he is, because he's a former criminal who's now all like a wannabe cop, calling the cops on people. If I'm like, oh, hey, can we have disability access? And he's like, I'm calling the cops on you. That's like a psychotic response. That's like not the correct response. And it really makes him like untrustworthy, especially out here where being a cop caller is like really frowned upon in the crowd he's trying to cater to.
I think
like
they
drug
need
dealers.
to. Well, they were trying to get them to. Speaking of disabilities, there's a petition to try to change the sign, the disability sign.
Oh.
Because so it's not just somebody in a wheelchair. Because most people with disabilities aren't in a wheelchair. They don't have a cane. They don't have a crutch. They look just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And they should change it, because some of us need the parking thing so that we can not get lost going to our damn car, which is far worse than if the average person gets lost going to their car. Because I'd be walking around for 2 days trying to find my car.
My dad started doing that when he went to Florida by himself. And he would call my mom, because somehow he could like get quarters, get to a payphone, call long distance in like 1998 and be like, well, I don't know where the car is. And she'd be like, okay, well, where did you go before that? And he'd be like, a restaurant. And then she would just...
A restaurant.
or whatever. She would talk him through the steps of trying to remember how he got there. Or what were you doing? Or did you go to a print shop? Or did you stop and get gas? And then after that, did you have something to eat? And by piecing together all the associated details, hopefully he could find his car.
Oh, well, he's lucky he has someone for him. And I always think that I'm not going to have someone on my side, because there's an actor, Henry Winkler. You know him? Okay.
No.
Anyway, well, he's old now, but he was on the famous TV show, anyway, a long time ago in the 70s. But he's very, very, very dyslexic. But he has an assistant. So he can't read the street signs, or he does the thing that I do probably in glitches and reads it incorrectly. Mm-hmm. But so he gets lost, and he has to call the assistant and say, well, here I am. Where do I go from here? Okay, now I've got to here. Where do I go from here? And she'll help him along the way. But I'm afraid I'll never have that.
Yeah.
And I'm working for this lady that, I was at her house.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I'm just going to do it twice a week, because I don't think I can handle more than that.
Yeah.
I just can't handle her. It depresses me how irresponsible she is when it comes to animals. It's dangerous how irresponsible she is and how stupid. She's so typical.
Do you remember, did I ever tell you the story of my mom's best friend who committed suicide? Guess what? She was a cat raiser. She had something like 50 cats. Could have been more. Right before she committed suicide, she let them all loose. And they were all
that's so irresponsible.
Really expensive Persians. And I think she had gone and done some huge financial transaction that her husband didn't know about. So she was upset about the money and the finance, and he wasn't as into the cat business as she was, so she just like let them all go and killed herself on, it was like Friday the 13th of that year too, in June. So it was like a Friday the 13th suicide.
Oh, that's really bad.
Yeah. And I barely knew her, but except that she called every day and I would like answer the phone.
See, that's what you call an irresponsible breeder. That's an irresponsible breeder. My mother only bred once or twice a year, so we had like 2 litters a year, maybe.
Oh, it was disgusting. The cat industry.
And then she sold them for lots of money. So they had maybe 5, 6 babies. So that's like twice that a year.
My
maybe.
mom is convinced that if she hadn't have done her like cat business after she quit nursing or retired from nursing, my dad, because she put some of the income as my dad's income, he wouldn't have had enough income to qualify him for nursing home. So literally having this, I don't know how that is, because I think it had to do with like, yeah, he basically didn't make much money his entire life because he was like this underpaid artist type guy. So yeah.
And he didn't pick the right art to be in.
Well, and he had
like if you pick being an actor and you get lucky, you can make lots of money. But you got to get lucky.
Did you see the clip?
Or, you have to take no and get, it's like getting knocked down hundreds of times and getting back up over and over and over.
Did you see the new Young Boys, Harry Styles and whoever, there's some little viral trendy thing where they're like, oh, he spits on him. But they sit next to each other at an award ceremony. Well, it's not really, now they're like, oh, he's not really spitting. But it looks like it, but they're cute. That's all I'm pointing out. And I don't know who these young boys are. Harry Styles and some other cute boy with like
Harry Styles is wonderful.
You would like this footage because I think he's sitting next to his co-star in whatever his new movie is, and it's cute. They're just, I don't know, neither one of them are exactly my type, but they're very cute. They're pretty faces.
Yeah, but Harry Styles has too many tattoos.
I think the point
it bothers me.
I'm impressed that there's anybody who's good looking who's actually in cinema, because like for the longest time in the 90s or whatever, I was like, yuck, why are they all ugly like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon? I never thought Brad Pitt was anything. I was like, ew.
I thought he looked like a cat.
He looks horrible
in a weird way. He looks so much better now.
No. On the cover of GQ, he looks like David Bowie having like tons of plastic surgery. He looks like his face got all stretched out. He looks like, and also all the years of drugs and alcohol have like paid off to make him look horrible.
Horrible. That's really sad. I don't know why. It's because they can. Because they can afford to do it. And that's really stupid.
Yeah.
I don't think our generation is that dumb.
No, our generation.
The older generation is a little
slightly even stupider. Yeah, the ones around 50. Yep. And
yeah, like our older 40s, late 40s, and 50s. Like Joaquin's.
Yep.
Generation, they're, yeah, hold on. They're a little stupid, like my brother and his wife and their children cooking themselves on the beach every year. Like, they're going to die of cancer. Or they're going to end up looking like leather bags. And we're fair-skinned, so why is he doing this to himself? I don't like it. Like, I would do everything in my power to not cook in the sun. Even if I was like pale as a ghost, I would be better off than.
I'm so sick of everyone harassing me about wearing my trench coat, but it's like the only way I'm not like super crispy this year. And my legs tan differently than my arms, and then I don't even have any sunburn. Well, I just got probably the most sun I've gotten all year yesterday, and it's not that bad. I'm just like a little bit tan.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, I don't like it. I feel like every time I go out in the sun, I get a little bit browner, and I'm like, oh, gross. No, I don't like it. I used to want it to be that way, and now I'm just like, no, I don't want it. And my legs are always so pale that they're like translucent. You can see the veins.
Oh, I think I read about Angelina Jolie has some horrible varicose veins or something, supposedly.
Oh, really? I haven't, and they said it's liver. Like I've read somewhere that it's a liver thing. If you have like broken veins.
Hold up. I'm trying to listen to this shouting drunk people out there. Maybe not. I don't know. Sometimes it's like a danger thing. I just kind of want to know what's going on out there. Hold on. Oh, who knows? There's a bunch of bars around here. Hopefully they're harmless. I saw this one kid actually sing Elton John. You know that song da 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 da. Is that? No, I feel like I don't even know the song. Get on back on my feet again. When I want to be alive. Da, 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 da. I don't know what the words are. Well, he did it so good. I was like, wow, he can really sing. But he's somebody was like, oh, he's crazy. But he's like probably the only beautiful guy in town. Or no, there's like many beautiful guys in town. But he's just like the prettiest.
Well, I like beauty, but I like movie star beauty, but natural. That's why I like guys. Guys usually are naturally beautiful. You can't really tell if a woman's beautiful because she's always like plastering herself with makeup and stuff.
You know what keeps happening is I keep lying down at night and then seeing spiders clinging to the ceiling. Then I have to break out the vacuum in an ungodly hour because what else am I going to do to get a spider way high up in the...
Yeah,
and then it disgusts me that the vacuum is now turning into like incinerated spider guts. But
well, I know I have them in my bedroom here because I got bit last night.
Well, I just
not bad ones. They're little tiny spiders, but it's itchy, you know.
Right. Well, I dosed in patchouli the other night because I don't think anybody likes that much patchouli, but I hope the spiders don't like it. But my next door neighbor had a really bad spider problem, and I'm a little bit afraid that nobody's dealt with it yet. So I'm just like sitting on a big spider nest. Plus,
and it's an old building.
Yeah. Plus this the season of August, September, that's our spider season. There's supposedly a pretty bad wildfire chance with the heat wave that's coming this summer. I mean, this weekend, like Saturday's going to be pretty hot.
If you have a rodent problem at all, just put out Irish Spring soap.
Really? Why?
Yeah, break it in little pieces and put it in the corners and behind the things, like in the cabinets and stuff.
That's strange.
And it keeps them away. And you don't have to kill them. Just it makes them go away.
I could not imagine doing that, but wow, it's the scent. I wonder if it's something.
And like they don't like. There's something else they don't like. Oh, peppermint. They don't like peppermint.
Cool. Cedar is against bed bugs. Cedar wood. They don't like. Cedar wood's pretty harsh. It actually can burn your skin a good bit. Okay.
It's scary when you put it in the fire because it pops and explodes.
So, Kate, I've been on the YouTube for an hour. I don't know that I'm getting antsy. I'm just sort of talked out. Like, I don't have much more to say. Yeah, like really groundbreaking. Well, so like my whole point of it too is just basically like living in a small town where everyone's observing a code of silence. Then you break open the code of silence, and then everybody's like, oh. But I think what kind of happened is it's evoked a sense of jealousy because it's like when somebody drives a car too fast. It's like to break the rules is itself like an attraction. So it's almost like other people are like, why didn't I think of that? But it also shows up the men because they're in a place of not being able to be courageous, and I'm having to be courageous for them. And then it also kind of shows them up because they're having to accept handouts from someone who's mean to women. So they're kind of like participating in his misogyny. And then
there's a safety in numbers thing. So they don't want to step up because they don't want to stand out from the crowd.
It's like a humiliation. But I'm thinking they're going to start tipping like dominoes. I'm thinking if we had the power, anyway, I don't know why I should be hopeful about anything. I knew it was going to be like a dominoes thing where I wouldn't know what the outcome would be because I wouldn't see where everything would fall. But I am seeing an outcome, and like the backlash or the unexpected consequences. Maybe it should amuse me, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I think you should be more cautious.
I should be more cautious. You and everyone else, yes. Well, I'm not out in front of their
It's
business
very
with this.
dangerous. Men are not kind, and they can do terrible things to you, as you know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how
Especially if they have more power than you.
how I don't even understand how this guy can have this much power, because he was like basically involved in a life of crime up until a couple of years ago. So he's like bringing kind of a criminal mindset to his nonprofit business. And to me, it's just kind of like, well, honestly, it really actually pertains to how little regard the homeless are treated. They're pretty much treated like, oh, we don't care if the guy who's feeding you is pretty
Well,
shabby
I
too.
think it depends. It depends on. We have homeless people who are homeless because of strange circumstances, like they have a mental illness or they lost their job or whatever. They don't want to be homeless, but they're homeless. Then we have the other homeless people, the ones that like being homeless and call it they refer to it as their community. And there are those people in LA who wanted to put a mailbox up next to the fig tree as if they owned it and could get mail there. And I thought, go get a job. If you're homeless and it's a problem and you want help and whatever, then you deserve help. You
know
deserve
how
food
bad the
and
landlords
shelter,
are in California, though? Like, people who are school teachers have to live in their Subaru station wagon because the school teacher job will no longer guarantee you an apartment. There's been some drastic things economically that have pushed a lot of people over the edge.
Sad. But then there's those people here, they have little communities, but they make so much damn trash that they have to be moved here and there, and they keep moving them. Like that's going to change anything?
Right.
And then they leave their trash behind, and
yeah,
it's really horrible.
Right. Oh, so tomorrow's basically a free day, and then Thursday I could go get vegetables, but tomorrow I might go to a food bank. And then I have to really drastically not spend money for like at least a month. And then I have about 4 more bills to pay, but then I have to be very careful about money. Just in case this emergency, basically I was told I would get 3 months of free rent. And now that the government is being slow to distribute the money, I made budgeting allowance for like, oh, I can invest in this, or I can pay a little extra on this card. And now that the money is just like delayed, it's kind of making people crazy, like landlords specifically more. But so it's actually going to work out fine as long as that money comes. Even if it didn't, I'd be fine. But it's just more like it's just better to have a decent savings where you have like at least a month of rent in your savings. More like 3 months of rent, or like 6, 5, but yeah.
So you're not like on a knife's edge.
Yeah, and I'm, because of the dentistry and the bills, and then a lot of like investment stuff, or just like getting a new mattress, getting carpet, like all these basic household things. A lot of these I don't have to replicate, especially if I quit moving, which I've been doing for a while, which is extremely expensive. But then things should taper off and I should be fine. Like, so why sweat it? But I think it would take me probably 3 years to get somewhat out of debt. And that would take a huge amount of discipline. So I'm actually kind of have to it's like being on a diet or something. I have to tell my brain not to be excessively extravagant all the time, not to do nice things for people.
Don't buy things you don't need.
Yeah, and enjoy what I have and like be happy with what I have. Be happy with simplicity.
You just have to have like a utilitarian mindset for a while. And you don't have a few sets of jeans, a few pairs of shoes, some You have to have enough underwear and
Well,
whatnot.
and what I'm to the point now is that chaos gets on my nerves. So all I really want is minimalism anyway, which it's cheaper and it's better. It's more functional. So I could be happier with less. So it's like a kind of downsizing or like small living is my plan.
Yeah, I think I would probably be like that. Be very picky. I always have been. Even if I had lots of money, I'd probably do investments. I'd invest in things. You know, I mean, I'd have like a few nice things, but then I'd wear them until they were like had holes in them and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I want a Burberry, but who can afford a Burberry?
Yeah.
They're like 300 or 400 and something bucks a piece, and it's a raincoat. So you know, or a wool coat or whatever.
Well, like since my main trench coat that I love is just getting super tattered, I pretty much need to replace it. And you just gave me the idea of like, wouldn't it be so much nicer to have like a really good? Not that London Fog is a bad trench coat, but
yeah, I had one. I don't know where it went.
Well, it's all in the size, the fit, and the fabric, because the kind I like is like, I don't know how you describe it, but it's a very soft brushed cotton that it's not very thick. It's more like a summer jacket.
Yeah.
And then if you want to, you can layer sweaters underneath it when it's colder. And part of why I like it actually in the rain climate is they dry super quickly. So if you get a little drizzle, then you dry it. It's much better than having a thick coat, because then the thick coat stays wet all day.
Yeah, I have a barn jacket that was supposed to be oiled, but I think it wears out after a while, and then it just gets, when you're drenched like a rat, you're drenched like a rat, and it doesn't help you.
So
it makes no difference.
There was one point when I had 5 good black trench coats, and I'm thinking about all the different designs and like why I like certain ones of them more. And then when I alternated them, it at least made me feel like I had some alternation. And I will sometimes not wear it, but I like almost feel like this one is like long to my ankles. And when I walk, it like hugs, you know how like a really, really long pencil skirt hugs your ankles? It does that, and it like makes this swoosh. And it's just, yeah, it's almost, it's like a style that probably the cut of it, they wouldn't even do it for like 20 years. It's like got to be vintage. But my friend gave me a whole bunch of trench coats, but they were kind of too small in the shoulders and they were too thick. And then they had this stupid thing that they did in the 1960s where they cut the wrists off really short and they make your arms look short and choppy. It's supposed to look cute with gloves, but
yeah, I don't like it.
No.
I'd rather have things be a little bit extra long. Like if it's a long sleeve shirt, it should be a little bit too long. Mm-hmm. If it's jeans, they ought to be a little bit too long.
Yeah, I have super, super long arms. You do too, don't you? Do you have long arms?
Well, yeah. And I have one's longer than the other one.
Right.
By like a half an inch. So, and it's probably because I use it more. Like your right arm's usually longer than the left.
Oh yeah. So
we should Skype sometimes. I got glasses finally.
Oh, did you really? Oh, that's good.
2 different pair because I have going farsighted, so I can see really far away, but I can't see middle distance and I can't see close up.
Oh man.
I mean, it's all like doubled, like double vision thing, and then foggy, like that thing you get when you wake up in the morning and you have eye crud and you have to clean your eyes out. It's like ooh, foggy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have like readers, and then I have these other ones for middle distance.
Oh, that's mad. Yeah, my eyes.
So I have to like switch glasses all the time. It's just annoying.
Oh wow.
So,
yeah.
So sometimes I just go, well, I'll just try to read through the fog.
Right. Wow.
And sometimes I forget because I'm so used to just looking and using my eyes and not thinking about using glasses. I forget that I can't see very well, and I'm just like, oh, damn it, I have to find the glasses again.
Yeah, I hate it. I had these reading glasses that are like for computer or something, but they're not good enough to see far away. So I love to read and watch TV and read and then look at the TV for a second and then look back. But now that my eyes are actually going in reverse direction, they're like getting better as I get older.
Oh, you're lucky. Mine are getting worse, and mine are going the opposite.
It's not as hurting my brain to read. Reading is like my new hobby again. And I realized most of my 30s, I was in this like dead zone of extremely, almost like painful eye headaches.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, but it's getting better. But he also changed my prescription for something that it's hard for me. It has a special word. He's told me, I forgot what it was, but it has something to do with my comfort of something to do with the astigmatism, or I don't know. I forget. I probably won't see an eye doctor for ages again. But I'm happy with having a new prescription. But he gave me, well, I got to pick out a free pair of frames because it was paid by this nonprofit. So I picked out the prettiest frames, and I was getting like tons of compliments, and people were treating me different because I looked like pretty in them. They were rosy and like rose gold and like pinkish and almost a little catty. But then I was like, well, I'm going to need a backup because I'll probably break them. That's what always happens when you only have one pair of glasses. So I ordered a backup pair that would just be like my other frames that I like so much that are just like big, chunky black. But they turned out to be even bigger than my other black ones. And because they're just ginormous, I can actually see so much more and better. But the bigger the frame, when you have like really bad eyes like I do, it's almost like having contact lenses. Like I can see a huge amount of peripheral. And it makes me like really partial to having gigantic glasses, which I was thinking of doing that anyway. Like, but I mean,
yeah, I like tinier the better. But even my readers are sort of bigger than I expected them to be when I ordered them.
Yeah.
And even when I looked at myself through the camera, you know, hey, this is what you look like with the glasses on thing.
Yeah.
It didn't look like that. When I got them, they were bigger than that.
You know, I'm thinking about this spider. Maybe I'll just do it right now while you're still on the phone and we're still recording. Don't say anything too sensitive, but I won't. I'm kind of grossed out, right? But I'm trying to like say everything. I even talked about the creepy choker boy and the ooh. Yeah, I don't know how to handle him. Okay, did I even tell you he did this weird thing in the park where he sort of like kind of not chased exactly. It's hard to describe what he did. Well, for one thing, he's a very timid person. Like this is a guy with like no guts, but he kind of is like trying to sort of like chase me out of the park. But he starts chasing my new friend in the wheelchair. Hold up, let me get the spider. But he like comes at my friend going like, and he's her new boyfriend. And I'm like, okay, for one thing, he isn't, but that's kind of a weird take to have on it anyway. Like, what's your deal? Like,
why you told me about this. We had to hide behind a bush or something?
Yeah, and he was like, and this is the girl that has been making false allegations against me on the internet and against Ozark. And I'm like, okay, for one thing, no, absolutely not. I don't do false allegations. But since you're like a man baby in denial. Anyway, so I already told you, so that's boring. But I saw him again and again and again. I'm running into him a lot. Why the hell did he have to come back to town? That's sort of so annoying to me.
Well, why do people go? Do they go away for different jobs or?
No,
why
would
he move away?
It's like the homeless lifestyle, though. Like he might be here in Astoria because Ozark will let him eat like a plate of food. Because if no other town has like a soup kitchen that he can go to, homeless people make a soup kitchen their like destination.
Okay, well that makes sense.
Or then also there's a shelter that opens up in 2 months. So if he can stand being on the streets for 60 cold days, he'll then eventually have somewhere to stay most of the winter.
It's terrible here. I've seen them walk around outside in the snow. Just to keep warm, they keep moving. It's just sad. I don't know. Like the goodwill should not be what it is. You know how they always say, "Oh, we're so good, good, good," but they don't pay you enough for when you give it up, and then they make a lot more off of it. So it's not like they're really goodwill, are they? They should be giving part of it away to like homeless people and stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Well.
you need a pair of good boots. You need some good socks. You need long underwear and sleeping bags, and
I wish the prices were more affordable. I wish I'd gotten those Irish dancing shoes.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about them. I could probably still go out there and they might be there. $20 though.
They said something on the TV recently about how people are now, instead of buying offline or going to a store, they buy secondhand. Everybody does secondhand clothing now. Because you can get really nice fancy designer stuff, but secondhand, and it's not bad. But that works for average shaped people or big people. It doesn't work for teeny tiny people.
You have to move to somewhere where it's more common to be skinny, because like in Tennessee, everyone's so oversized.
Yes, they're fat. See, we were talking about, there's a show that we were watching last night, and it's based on a Neil Gaiman book. And there's this man, there's different people who are different things. Like there's desire, and there's death, and there's and there's truth, and there are different characters that embody these things. And Dream is the main character, and has the sands of, he's the Sandman. That's what he is. But anyway, there's this guy, and he's truth, and there's this whole episode where he makes these people tell the truth. Whatever's in their head, they always tell the truth, and it gets worse and worse and more and more disturbing, and they just say and do whatever they really want to do, and it's really scary and horrible. And my mom was like, but isn't it true though? Wouldn't it be better? Wouldn't it be good if you could actually? She was like, if you could actually tell people what's like the truth about them. But I was like, but that's why people lie, because it's mean sometimes to tell the truth. She was like, yeah, don't you just want to walk up to the person at the booth in the restaurant and say, you could stand to lose 200 pounds?
Oh no.
But you can't do that.
Well, okay, so like,
I want to say the thing that they've found out now that I always want to tell people, but then I can't because it's mean. But you know how like scientists have proven that you can connect obesity to stupidity? It's completely connected. And I always want to say, you are what you eat. Take 20 minutes to eat a meal. You eat half of it, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But people don't listen. It's like putting up a sign. Nobody's reading the sign.
Okay. Wow. I'm finding a lot of good stuff. I did a lot of paperwork today. I threw away a bunch. I just found a voucher for something. Okay, this is cool. But yeah, Kate, I think we should cut off I know it's fun to be talking on the internet, but I found Jose's number. Should I call Jose? Jose's a Gemini. I don't really have any crushes right now. Isn't that horrible? I guess my only crush left town. So that's kind of actually fortunate. It's better not to have crushes, honestly, in this climate.
Well, I think it just depresses me because it's like what I can't have.
Yeah,
I just admire people just for face value, like just because they're beautiful. Do you ever get this thing with people where they think if you're admiring someone's beauty that you instantly they assume you want to have sex with them? It's all about sex. But it's not. It's just I just admire their beauty.
And it's because you're like in the fashion industry. You're an artist, so you see things through aesthetics, and people don't understand that. Like you can see aesthetic beauty, but not want anything to do with it. A lot of my guy friends in LA, they were like super beautiful, like a model, but it wasn't like I was crushing on them. I could just tell they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like that thing with women. I can look at a woman and say, ooh, how beautiful they are. And I'm jealous of how beautiful they are. But it doesn't mean I want to have sex with them.
Right. Well, and also there's an asexual movement, like the as a gender orientation. Like some people truly identify as asexual. So,
Really, I'm just that way because I have to be, as you know.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think when I was more like I don't know, 18 to 21 or something, I was just like completely asexual, and I didn't really think much of it. But I see it as a nice way to be because it's just like one less thing to worry about.
It's less stress.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make you less frustrated. Although I'm much calmer than I used to be.
Wow.
I just keep thinking that if I was to do anything like that, that it's got to be like the most fantastic thing in the world. Because otherwise people wouldn't be acting that way about it.
Oh.
You know, if it was really all that horrible, nobody would be having sex.
That's not even a subject I want to talk about on the live stream. Yeah, I don't know why. I did want to be an activist for like against repression, but okay. So I'm
Yeah, get off the live stream and just talk normally.
talk normally. Ooh, okay.
Really, just without
Going off the air. Okay, you're the boss, Kate.
Because we don't want to like tell the world our stuff.